Greetings, Libra and Libra rising. This is your Western forecast for May 2024. There's a 5-planet lineup in Taurus. This is incredibly unusual. If you have 3 planets in a sign, it's called a stellium, and that's a strong emphasis. But this month, for the whole world, we're having 5 planets in Taurus. Now, Taurus energy is very grounding, very steady, very purposeful, can be really focused on economics because Taurus can be a materialistic sign as the second sign of the zodiac, starting with Aries, is Taurus, and the second sector in astrology deals with your cash flow, your income. So, these 5 planets in Taurus is 8 signs past Libra. So there's a major focus and emphasis on 8th house matters. The 8th house is one of the most mysterious and complicated sectors of the horoscope. That's mainly because the 8th sign of the zodiac is Scorpio. You start with Aries, and when you get to the 8th, it's Scorpio. And Scorpio is a sign of powerful transformation, wealth, sex, secrets, inheritance. So it's a very complicated, intense, powerful area of the chart. And so I'm going to break it down, how these planets are all going to be triggering and impacting these 8th house issues. Expect a lot of change because the sun is going to be, as it's transiting through Taurus, it's going to come up to Uranus. Now, this happens once a year. Uranus went into Taurus in 2018. We have another year of it. But when the sun aligns with Uranus, it triggers the unpredictable, the unexpected, the breakthrough energies. And the new moon is on May the 7th in Taurus, but this new moon is going to be strongly impacted by the planet Uranus. So there's going to be a lot of surprises, breakthroughs, innovation. But before I break all that down, and then we also have to examine how Jupiter has been in Taurus since May of 2023. And the end of this month, May the 25th, 2024, expansive, lucky Jupiter goes into Gemini for 1 year. So that's a big deal, along with this major emphasis on your 8th house. But before I start to break all this down, if you enjoy these kinds of videos and would like to see more of them, click like and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so you can receive the latest postings. And if you go into the description box underneath the video, you'll find direct links to sign up for my free daily message or how to book an astrology reading. All right, let's just start with that new moon. There's a new moon every 4 weeks. Wherever that new moon falls in your chart, that's where your intention is being really drawn to. But let's go, that's when the sun and the moon align. It'll be in Taurus. Now the sun, where the sun is shining, is where what is being lit up, where most of your attention, important parts of your priorities are focused upon. So the sun, at the end of April, went into Taurus, and it's going to remain in Taurus until May the 20th. So this happens every year. Now on May the 20th, the sun will then shift to Gemini. Now, just the energy is going to be very different because Taurus is very steady and very grounding. And Gemini, when it goes into Gemini, Gemini is an air sign, where Taurus is an earth sign. Air signs need a lot of variety, freedom, stimulation. So you're going to see a big shift from this heaviness, groundingness of Taurus, especially with 5 planets in Taurus, moving into this more lighthearted, playful energy of Gemini. As the sun goes into Gemini on May the 20th, Venus, the ruler of Libra, goes into Gemini on May the 23rd, and expansive Jupiter goes into Gemini May the 25th for 1 year. So the 8th house has a lot to do with transformation, because it's the house of death and rebirth. And transformation puts a real focus on counseling, astrology, the occult. The 8th house is very much related to joint ventures, finances, inheritance, settlements, taxes, insurance. And as we know, Scorpio, which is the natural ruler of the 8th house, can have a lot to do with secrets. So there's a lot is being triggered. And Venus, your ruling planet, Venus rules Libra and Taurus. And Venus is in Taurus, so it's at home in Taurus. So the Venus, planet of beauty, creativity, it's also a financial planet. That Venus is very strong at home in the sign of Taurus. But Venus also rules Libra. And so this Venus in Taurus for Libra is going to have a strong emphasis. And in the 8th house, financially, if we look at banking, finance, settlements, Venus is a benefic energy, that power of attraction. When we're talking about relationships, that power of attraction, the 8th house, that natural house of Scorpio, has a lot to do with sex, with intimacy, with passion. So there's going to be this triggering of a lot of strong romantic desires. Mercury, what is on your mind? What are you discussing? What are you planning? Now, it's in Aries the first 2 weeks of May. Aries is opposite Libra. So the Mercury in Aries moving through your 7th house is the house of marriage and partnerships, because it's the natural house of Libra, because Libra is the 7th sign of the zodiac. So there's a lot of negotiations, discussions, planning, thinking, all forms of communications with relationships, whether this is business, whether it is with your partner, your significant other. Plus Mars rules the sign Aries. Mars every 2 years goes through all the signs, and at the end of April, through all of May, through the first week of June, assertive, passionate, driven Mars is at home in Aries. So that assertive Mars, ambitious Mars, is really strong. And it's transiting your 7th house of relationships. But the first 2 weeks of May, with Mars in the 7th, decision-making, communication, Mercury is in the 7th. In the positive, this could be a lot of intense, passionate negotiations with contracts. But there might be some real passionate discussions in your personal relationship. Now, that Jupiter, let's go back to Jupiter. Jupiter's been in your 8th house when it transiting from Taurus last May 2023 through this end of May 2024. So all this 8th house, That can be dealing with banking and finance, insurance and taxes, and joint ventures, shared resources like with your partner. The Jupiter wants to bring a lot of protection, luck, abundance. Some of you could be coming into a settlement, more credit, getting a mortgage, that sort of thing that the Jupiter, it's really could bring to you. Since the 8th house can be dealing with joint ventures, this Jupiter can bring opportunities to to attract a really good lucrative contract or to start up a business partnership. And with the Mercury then leaving Aries, goes into Taurus on May the 15th through the beginning of June. So your mind, or all this thinking, planning, negotiations, is also on the 8th house. And Uranus is an 84-year cycle. Uranus has been in your 8th house since 2018. And it's one more year. It starts to move into Gemini next July 2025. So wherever Uranus is traveling or transiting, it's kind of bringing in a lot of unexpected sudden events, breakthroughs, upsets, a lot of new energies. So that's what's been going on, but it's more emphasized this month because the sun every May will, since 2018, as it transits in the sign of Taurus, those first 3 weeks of May, it's always crossing Uranus, that breakthrough unexpected energies. And this new moon on May the 7th, which is holding your attention till the next new moon in Gemini, which is 4 weeks later, towards the end of the first week of June, this new moon is being impacted by Uranus. So some of the things with Uranus could be unexpected windfalls of money. There could be this real desire for personal freedoms. That's this Uranus. Now, I'll get back to that 8th house. But the sun then goes into Gemini on the 20th for 4 weeks. So that Taurus energy is still strong, especially as Uranus remains there for another year. And the Mercury is there through the rest of this month. But when the sun goes into Gemini, Gemini is 9 signs past Libra. The 9th house, now the sun is drawing your attention to for those next 4 weeks. The 9th house, it highlights international traveling, publishing, higher education, marketing. It's also the house of justice. But Jupiter is it's the natural ruler of the 9th house and is bringing protection if you're having to deal with the legal system, or if you are wanting to teach or publish or go back to school. That's all the 9th house. But Jupiter is often associated with long distance traveling, and it's at home traveling through the 9th house every 12 years, the sector of long distance traveling. So a lot of Libras and Libra risings could be by the end of, certainly by the 20th of May, be making plans to go on a long distance trip, or you could be headed to the airport or the cruise ship or the train by this end of May. But the Jupiter is going to be there for 1 year, bringing a lot of its blessings. The sun will remain there for the first, from May the 20th till about June the 20th, June the 19th of June. And let's go back to the new moon. The new moon sets our intention for those 4 weeks in your 8th house. So a lot of focus on finance, joint ventures, loans, etc. 2 weeks later is the full moon. The full moon always brings to light or starts to reveal what was being planted, what was being triggered with the new moon in your 8th house. Now, the full moon is going to be on May the 23rd. The full moon is in the sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is 3 signs past Libra. So what the full moon is bringing to light are 3rd house matters. One of the things the 3rd house represents is also traveling, because the 3rd house is opposite the 9th house, where you're having the Sun and Jupiter, Sun, Venus, and Jupiter going into Gemini, into your 9th house. So the 3rd house, 9th house, it's 2 sides of the same coin. So there's a lot of emphasis on traveling or making travel plans, especially around the 23rd. Maybe a lot of you will be going on a trip at that point. But the 3rd house is also about learning and studying and writing. And you could be making a lot of decisions and making plans around that full moon to join a workshop, start a class, go back to school. I now want to blend all these energies together. Assertive Mars, really strong, moving through Aries in your 7th house of marriage, partnerships, contracts. That Mars is very ambitious, risk-taking, aggressive when it comes to negotiations, especially with contracts. Keeping that in mind, that major emphasis with the 8th house, which is because of the 5-planet lineup, it's really setting the stage and planting seeds for major 8th house issues. The 8th house deals with joint ventures, and finance and banking. So there could be a lot of negotiations, Mars, with contracts, with setting up a business partnership. But then Jupiter, expansive Jupiter, is going into Gemini, joining the Sun and Venus in Gemini in your 9th house. The 9th house, yes, it's traveling, but that 9th house with that Mars in 7th of a lot of passionate negotiations, the 8th house so much focused on financial contracts, joint ventures, then the 9th house, when you're bringing in all that financial partnerships, negotiations, the 9th house has a lot to do with media, marketing, and publishing. So you could be negotiating a media deal or a contract, a publishing contract, or there could be some intense negotiations with legal matters for a settlement, but it would go in your favor because of the Jupiter. Now, this is part of the forecast where I like to examine how these intense energies could be impacting your body, your relationships, your business. So I've already talked a lot about business. When it comes to your body, the Mars is that fighter, that warrior, it's high energy. The Mars is opposite Libra. So there's a lot of tension and stress that could be triggered with negotiations, but you're going to be feeling really stimulated and aggressive and ambitious. Relationships, wow. Mars is in the 7th house of relationships, which could be the significant other or marriage once every 2 years. And with that Mars, it could be that assertiveness. The Venus is the planet of love. It's the planet that rules Libra. It's really strong also transiting in Taurus. And when it comes to relationships, the 8th house is the house of intimacy, of sensuality, of sex. And so this would bring a strong desire, that's also Venus, to for more intimacy in an existing relationship. Any new relationships would start off very passionately, very romantically with that with that Venus in the 8th house. And of course, with business, that 8th house basically is about joint ventures and contracts that you could be certainly heavily negotiating with that fiery Mars in the 7th house of partnerships. I want to thank you for watching. If you like information on how to book an astrology reading or to sign up for my 2-question offer, visit my website at gardino.co. That's .co. Until next month, be safe and well.